Okay, now it's time to actually create the ceiling light item for the holes that we've created here in the geometry. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to do that. First of all, let's look at our reference image again. This is what I have. It's a pretty simple shape here that we're going to have to create. Pretty simple object. Alright, so by looking at that and studying that image, I'm going to go ahead and start to create this. So let me start off maybe over here. So I'll start over here. And let me take this placeholder right here, and I'm just going to delete it to get rid of it. Don't really need it. I'm going to go to border mode, and I'm going to select that border edges right there. I'm going to hit cap to create a polygon right there. I'm going to take that polygon, I'm going to go up to geometry and detach it as a separate object. Hit OK. I'm going to select that piece of geometry that I ripped off right there, and I'm going to change its color. Let's go something that's contrasts a little bit more there with the blue. Something like that will work out just fine. Now this object here, although it looks like it's a perfect circle, it's actually not. It's actually a little bit deformed and is not going to make a very good circular object. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take this guy and inset him right here. And you can see when I inset it, if I look at this carefully, you'll notice that this circular object here doesn't look very circular at all. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle on top of that object. I'm going to go to my grid and snap settings. I'm going to make sure that vertex snapping is turned on. I'm going to turn off midpoint there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a circle, turn on snaps. And I'll create a circle up to about right there. And interpolation, I'm going to take that up to about maybe, let's see, 4, maybe 5 to 6. I'm also going to reduce the radius here. I'm not going to make it 3 inches. I'm going to make it about 3.5, so it's just slightly bigger. Alright. So it's going to be something like this is going to be pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this this circle object. I'm going to go to the align tool. And I'm going to align it to that green object that I created. And I'm going to go with center and center right there. And I'm going to hit OK, so it's perfectly centered. Alright? Now what I'm going to do is take the green object, since I don't need it anymore, and I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to take my circle object here that I created. Okay? And I'm going to take it and convert it to an editable poly. Right, so I created a polygon. It's flipped the wrong way, so I'll select the polygon and go to flip normal, so it's facing back this way. Alright, and I'm going to move it down, or actually I'll just move it up like this. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that polygon that's right there, and I'm going to extrude it and pull it down a bit like this, just till it comes out of the ceiling a little bit. Something similar to my picture here. Doesn't have to go exactly to the picture, but as long as it's pretty similar, you'll be good to go. Alright, so maybe something like this sticks out a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the inset tool, and I'm going to inset this a bit like so. And I'm going to extrude this inward like this. And the amount I'm going to extrude inward is going to be about, I guess right there is pretty good, something like that. Yeah, that works. That looks like it works fine. It makes this nice sort of circular type object right there. Okay, with that done right there, I would say that I'm pretty much done with that ceiling light. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and start adding some more detail. For example, I can come in here, I can inset this guy like so. Alright. Then what I can do is maybe pull this guy down a little bit, extrude him out like so, maybe scale him down a little bit to make sort of the piece that's going to be for the light right there. Just give that thing a little bit more dimension right there. And maybe I'll go ahead and go to subdivision and tessellate this. Something like that. And I'll select those vertices that are right there, okay? And maybe what I'll do is, with those vertices selected, maybe I'll go to modifiers and go to maybe one of these parametric deformers. And maybe I'll go to, let's see, what do we have here? Maybe we can hit the relax modifier right there. Give it several iterations. As you can see, it kind of smooths it out a bit. We can increase the relax value as well. So we get something like that. And that's perfectly fine. I know it looks kind of weird. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse the modifier stack there. Select all the polygons. Go to properties and go to smooth 30. When I render that out again, I don't have so much of a problem. Still doesn't look that great. But actually it's okay. From far away, actually looks a little bit more detailed. So I'm working under the assumption that these things aren't going to be rendered from much closer than about here. So as you can see, the faceting doesn't cause a problem. When I get really close, if I render this out, you can see there's some faceting. Faceting means that, see those lines right there? How you can see those jagged edges because it's low res. If you wanted to, then you should make the circle higher res. Give it more subdivisions. In this case, I'm just going to leave it like this. This is perfectly fine. We'll just be wasting resources and render time later if we increase that too much. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is the pivot point. The pivot point's really important because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to clone him and use him for the other holes. But the problem is I have no way of aligning it perfectly. It's going to be very difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the pivot point on this guy like so. Watch this. I'm going to take this guy. If I go to wireframe mode here, I can see the blue wireframe that represents the geometry of the ceiling. What I want to do is I want to take the pivot point and snap it to one of the points there for the hole on the ceiling. That's going to make life a lot easier for me. So I'll go over here and I'll take the pivot point and I'll move it and I'll snap it right there. Okay, maybe a little bit hard to see, but what I did was I snapped the pivot point basically right here to where this blue line intersects right there, that little vertex right there. And if I show you here in geometry, that's the vertex right there that I'm snapping it to. So now all I have to do is basically take this object here that I just created, and let me go ahead and rename it really quick. I'll go to Object Properties and I'll call this Light Fixture Ceiling 01. Hit OK. So now when I clone it, you see that the clone inherits the name 02, so Light Fixture Ceiling 02. Also, we no longer need the placeholders and they're getting in my way. So I'm going to hit H to open up the select object, the window here. And I'm going to look for all of those objects there. It's probably going to end up being all of these circles. Yep, and it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all of these circle objects here. It's about 44 of them. I'll select them. There they are. And I'm going to delete them. Get rid of them. Now I'm just going to take this guy here, and with vertex snapping turned on, just going to take him and snap him there to that vertex. And when I do that, you notice that it's perfectly placed on the hole exactly where I need it, as you can see. No problem. So now let's just take and let's do the same thing with the rest of these guys. So snap them there. Alright, I'm going to fast forward the video through this process. All you're basically doing is snapping these guys to the geometry where they belong to. So I'll fast forward the video at this point and get this done quick. starting to get really hot, man. Yeah, you're almost done with this, bro. Yeah. Alright, let's get back here. Alright, so I'm back and I finished placing all the clones here of the lights. Position them and everything. Looks pretty good. Okay. So, with that done right there, we're going to end this video here and say that we're done with the ceiling light fixtures. In the next video, we'll just continue moving along, continue working on this scene. We still have a lot of work to go.